All right, in this video of college algebra, we're looking at inequalities, which is section 1.7. All right, inequalities. We need to make sure we know our inequalities. This is less than, and this is greater. You can have the equal to line. So like if you have a less than with the equal to line, that's less than or equal to, and of course greater than or equal to. This is less than right here, which means like this number 2 is less than this number here 5. And what I always remembered was this is like a Pac-Man, and Pac-Man would eat the bigger of the two numbers. So like if this is 8 is greater than 1. You know, Pac-Man's going to eat the greater one. So I don't know if that helps you. Maybe you understand those, but we got to make sure we understand what the symbols mean. Well, we're going to do some inequalities. Here's one here. I'll write a little bit bigger. X is less than -6. Right here, this inequality. All right, we're going to write these inequalities in what's called interval notation. So which one of these intervals is what we're looking at here? All right, well, x is less than -6, which maybe it might help if you look at it on a number line. All right, here's 0, here's -6. I'm going to circle -6, and less than is going this way. So my arrow would look like this, and it comes to -6. My interval for that is it goes this way forever. So what's the lowest it goes to? Well, it goes to -infinity. This is a value you never do get to, so we're going to put a parentheses here because it never does reach this value. On this right side, -6 is the highest it goes to. So I'm going to put -6, and I'm going to put a parentheses there because that's a value it does not reach either, because it's strictly less than. It doesn't have the equal to line under it. So here's what my interval should be, which is B right here. I'm sorry, B right here. Let's look at the answer down here. B. There's my answer. Okay. Well, now what if it says x is less than or equal to +6? Okay. Well, again, drawing the number line might help understand this. Here's 0 and here's +6. So I'm going to have a circle here at 6, which is the value in question, and less than, again, it goes this way, so I'm going to draw my arrow going this way. But this time it's equal to, which means this value is colored in because it includes 6. All right, now what's my interval for that? Well, my interval, and I don't know if I said this clear enough, I've got my lowest value and my highest value in this interval. My lowest value and my highest value. So on this, the lowest value, it goes that way forever, so it goes to -infinity. Okay? The highest value is 6. All right, but this time it includes 6, so that means I put a bracket like this. And a bracket is used to show inclusion, that it includes that end value. Again, infinity, -infinity, it's a value you never do get to, so it will always have a parentheses on it. So here's what my answer should be right here, which looks like this one, D. All right. What do we have here? All right, on this, all right, we've got x between two values. Let me write it over here a little bit bigger. -1 is less than x, which is less than or equal to 8. All right, now we want to try to do this without a number line if you can, but I'll draw the number line again just to show you. Here's 0, all right, here's -1, and 8's over here somewhere. Now this is not by scale, but so I'm going to circle -1, I'm going to circle 8, and the value x is between those. Okay, now 8, it's less than or equal to 8, so that means 8's colored in. So there's what it looks like on a number line. Okay, now what's the interval? Well, we've got to have our lowest value, which is -1, and our highest value, which is 8. The lowest value is not included, so I put parentheses on it. But the highest value is included, so I'd have a bracket there. All right, so that's G right here. G. All right. Now, again, what I said is we want to try to do these like without using a number or line. So let's try doing x is greater than or equal to 2. Okay. What's the highest value, or what's the lowest value? I go low, and then I go high. My lowest value, well, x is greater than or equal to 2, so my lowest value has to be 2. The highest value, well, it's greater than 2, so it goes all the way to infinity. There's my lowest, and there's my highest. Now, it does include 2. See, it's equal to, so I'm going to have a bracket. And infinities never have a bracket. They're always parentheses. So that's what it would be there. Okay, let's do another one here. X is less than 7. X is less than 7. All right, what's the lowest value? X is less than 7. So that means it could be less than to negative infinity. So negative infinity is the lowest it goes. That's always a parentheses. What's the highest it goes? Well, that's 7, because it's got to be less than 7. So, and it does not include it. So that's what you'd have. All right. Now, number 4 here, it says match the number line with the interval. Okay, what's my lowest value? 0. What's my highest value? 8. Does it include 0? No. See, it's a parenthesis right here, so no. Does it include 8? No, it's a parenthesis, so that should be it right there. E. Okay, the answer was E. Oh man, look at this long one here. Match the number line here. All right, now we've got 2 parts on this one. Okay, we've got this one and we've got this one. Well, looking at the choices, it's got to be that one because it's the only one that has 2 parts. Okay, so that's pretty simple, but let me explain why. If I just look at this part, the lowest value is negative infinity. The highest value is negative 9. Negative infinity you never do get to, and negative 9, look, it's got a parenthesis on it, so there you go. There's that part. And then I put this little union symbol. Now this should be available in your choices to select down at the bottom. You should be able to find this on the screen at the bottom. There's these choices. Then I put this part, which the lowest value for this one is positive 9. The highest value, it goes to infinity. And there's the parenthesis, and of course, infinity always has a parenthesis. So that's how I get the answer for that. Okay, so that's a little bit about writing interval notation of how to do that. Now, starting with number 6, we're actually going to solve these and get the interval of those. So like, let's do this one here. Negative 6x plus 3 is less than or equal to 21. We're going to solve this inequality. Now, we're just going to do this just like we're solving. We're just going to pretend that this right here is just the equals. And we're just going to solve it. So to solve this, I would subtract 3 on both sides. And this would go away. So I got negative 6x is less than or equal to 18. Okay. And then now I would divide both sides by negative 6, which would make this cancel off. X over here, when I divide, I get negative 3. But here's one thing. I didn't put my inequality here because I divided by a negative. And when you divide by a negative, it changes my inequality the other direction. Okay, I wish we had done one first that didn't have that going on, but we'll go ahead and jump right into it, I guess. So, x is greater than or equal to negative 3. The lowest value is negative 3. The highest value goes to infinity. It does include the negative 3, so we'll put a bracket. And infinity always has a parenthesis, so that would be my answer right there. Okay, now let me explain this on here about inequalities. Okay, and you could fast forward through this if you want to, but if you have 2 values, look here. 4 is less than 7. Okay, 4 is less than 7. Well, if I add 3 to both sides, 4 plus 3 is 7. 7 plus 3 is 10. It's still less than. So this shows me I can add to both sides and it doesn't change it. Okay, now let's say I subtract 2 from both sides. 7 minus 2 is 5. 10 minus 2 is 8. It's still less than. So I can subtract on both sides. I can subtract and add, and it doesn't change my inequality. Heck, look here. If I multiply both sides by 4, 4 times 5 is 20. 8 times 4 is 32. It's still less than. Okay, so I can multiply both sides. I can even divide. Look at if I divided both sides by 2. Okay, 20 divided by 2 is 10. 32 divided by 2 is 16. It's still less than. So I can add, I can subtract, I can multiply, I can divide, I can do all this stuff. It does not change my inequality. But look what happens if I divide by a negative. Look what happens when I divide by a negative. 10 divided by negative 2 is negative 5. 16 divided by negative 2 is negative 8. And look, it's not less than anymore, because negative 5 is greater than negative 8. So see, here's what happens when you divide by a negative, or if you multiply. If you multiply or divide by a negative, it changes your inequality the other direction now. So as we solve, like we did this problem here, you know, my inequality stayed the same all the way through here until I went to this step here when I divided by this negative. And when you divide by a negative, it changes your inequality the other direction. Okay, now if you have something like this now, don't get confused. If I have 2x is greater than, let's say, negative 5. Okay, now when I divide here on both sides by 2, I did not divide by a negative. This number here was negative, but the number I divided by was not negative, so that would stay the same. It's the number you divide by. If it's negative, that changes it to the other direction. Okay, so it changes your greater than to less than, or it will change your less than to a greater than when you divide or multiply by negative. All right, so let's look at number 7 here. Number 7, solve this one. I got x minus 3 is less than or equal to 5x plus 9. Okay, so we're just going to do our normal operation. So here's where my equals is, pretending, and I'm going to minus 5x on both sides to get my x's over here. Now, some people might subtract x and bring it over there, but when you do inequalities, it's best if your variable is on the left, because it's easier to think about. I'll show you about that in a minute. That's going to give me a negative 4x minus 3 less than or equal to 9. It's still less than because I didn't do any dividing. I subtracted 5x, but I can subtract. That's fine. Now I'm going to add 3 to get the 3 over here. So that's going to go away. And it's a 12. Okay? And now I'm going to have to divide. And look here, I'm dividing by a negative again. I'm dividing both sides by a negative, which is going to change my inequality this way. That gives me x here and a negative 3, and there's my answer. Okay? So now x is greater than this, so that's the lowest value. Infinity is the highest value. I never have it's always parentheses on the infinities and negative infinities. But now on my negative 3, I am including negative 3, so I got to have a bracket. So there'd be my answer right there. Okay. All right, let's go to number 8. Okay. So we're just going to do this one same way. We got parentheses and stuff. We're going to have to combine like terms. Okay, now let's go. All right, so I'm going to have to distribute here. So 3 times x, 3 times 2, that's 3x plus 6 plus 3, and I got over here 8 plus 4x. Okay. Now, I've got like terms here, so This is going to be 3x, and then those two go together, so it's going to be plus 9. Okay, and then we're good to go. Now we've got x's on both sides, so I'm going to have to minus a 4x to both sides, and that'll go away. And over here, that's going to be a negative x plus 9. There you go. And now I'm going minus 9. And there you go. Negative x is greater than or equal to, that's negative 1. Okay. And now that's negative 1x. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 1, which that's going to be a 1, and I divided by a negative, which is going to change this around. Every one of these are changing around. So there's my answer. X is less than negative 1, which means the lowest value it goes to would be negative infinity. The highest value would be 1, and it is included with the equal to bar. So there you go. There's my interval. And let's see right there. There's my answer right there. So we're good. Okay. Now, I told you I was going to do this. I forgot after that problem a while ago. But see, look here. If x is greater than 2, okay, it's real simple to think about. X is greater than 2. That means 2 is the lowest. Infinity would be the highest. So x is greater than 2. I'd have parentheses like this. But see, if you have like this right here, 4 is less than x. 4 is less than x. Okay, it's a lot harder to think about when your variable is on this right side. 4 is less than x. What's the lowest x could be? Okay, it's actually 4. Because x is greater. See, it's harder to think about. So this would be my interval. But see, it's harder to think about when your variable's on this side. So don't have your variable on the right. Always keep your variable on the left. It's easier to think about that way. So try doing that. All right, then we get to number 9 here. Oh my goodness. We got a bunch of fractions in here. 1/3 x plus 3/5 x minus 1/2. I got x plus 3 less than or equal to 1/10. Okay, so what we need to do here? Well, let's get rid of all these fractions. Let's find the common denominator. So I got 3, 5, 2, and 10. All right, 2 and 5 both go into 10, so let's just look at 10 and 3, and it looks like 30. 30 is what my common denominator would be here, 30. Okay. All right, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 30. Okay, now when I multiply this, I'm going to have to distribute to all 3 of these. Now look, there's a parentheses here times this. Okay, so we'll get to that in just a second. So right here when I do 30, now you could just multiply using your calculator if you want to. It's real simple. I'm going to do 30 times 1/3. Well, let's turn the calculator on first. 30 times 1/3. That's 10. So it'd be 10x right there. Okay, now 30 times 3/5. All right, just punch it in. 30 times 3 divided by 5. That's 18. So plus 18x. All right, then right here I got minus 1/2 times this. All right, so let's do 30 times 1/2. So 30 times 1 divided by 2, 1/2. That's 15. Okay, so it's going to be minus 15 times this. And we'll do this on the next step. And then 30 times 1/10 would just be 3. Okay, so that looks a lot better. We got rid of all those silly fractions. Okay, now let's distribute this. So now these two, we can go ahead and put them together if we want to. That's 28x. Now negative 15 times all this. So negative 15 times x, negative 15x, negative 15 times 3 is negative 45. Okay, and it's starting to look a little easier now. These two go together, so it's going to be 13x minus 45 less than or equal to 3. Okay, and then add 45. So 13x less than or equal to 48. And then divide by 13. Hey, we didn't have to change it this time. There you go. Okay, now let's get my interval for this. Oh, I didn't have it on there. I'm sorry. So x is less than this, which means x could be going to negative infinity. And that would be the highest value. And it's got the equal to line, so it should be a bracket. So that should be my answer. Let's look over here. There we go. We're good to go. Okay. Now, those are just single inequalities. Now we're going to get to some here that are double inequalities. See, like right here, this is negative 5 is less than 5 plus 2x, which is less than 11. Okay, so we see we got two inequalities here. All right, so what we do is now it's like we have two equals. But if we just kind of ignore this part right here, what would I do to solve this right here? Well, I would have to subtract 5 on both sides to make this go away. All right, but I have this other side over here on this side, which means I'm going to have to subtract 5 from it too. So whatever, I kind of focus in the middle here. Focus in the middle, and whatever I do there, I've got to do it on each end. Okay? So when I minus 5 here, this is going to be negative 10. This is my 2x, and 11 minus 5 would be 6. Okay? And then I would divide by 2, which means I divide by 2 here, and I also would divide by 2 over there. This will cancel, and that gives me a negative 5. This is an x, and over here that's a 3. And there you go. There's my answer. And now in interval notation, x is between these two numbers. What's the lowest? Negative 5. What's the highest? 3. And they're both parentheses because they don't have the equal to lines. So that should be it right there, negative 5 and 3. Okay? Let's just going up here. What about this one? I tell you what. Here's this one. You practice this one, okay? This is real similar to the one we just did. And there's the answer. So you try doing that one yourself. All right? Let's move on to 12 here. Now 12, okay. We've got negative 5 less than or equal to 2m plus 8 divided by 2, and that's less than or equal to 14. Okay, so we focus on the middle here. All right, well, I've got all this divided by 2, which means I'm going to have to multiply everything by 2. Okay, well, 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. 2 times this, well, it just cancels the 2, so I got 2m plus 8. Then 2 times 14 is 28. So I just multiply everything by 2. And right here, see, they just cancel. Okay? All right, so there we go. All right, now, again, I focus on here and see 2m plus 8, I got a minus 8. So a minus 8 here, and I got a minus 8 on each end. All right, now negative 10 minus 8 is negative 18. 8 minus 8 goes away, that's just a 2m. 28 minus 8 would be a 20. Okay, and now I focus in here, I got to divide by 2, so I divide the ends by 2. That's going to give me a negative 9. That's going to cancel, just give me m. That's going to give me a 10. And so there's my answer. Now, what's the lowest value? Well, the lowest value m could be is negative 9. What's the highest value? It's 10. And both of them are included, so I'm going to have double brackets like this. So there you go. We did a good job. Okay, now we're going to start getting into some quadratics, which means my quadratic formula song is coming up soon. But this one here now, we don't have to do quadratic formula on this one. This is just x squared is less than or equal to 49. Okay? Now, I'm going to just square root both sides. Okay? Which means when I square root here, it cancels the square. But when I square root over here, it could be plus or minus. See, when you square root both sides, it could be positive or negative. And the square of that's 7. Okay? Now, when it's less than, that means that negative 7's on this side, 7's on that side, and x is between them, like this. Okay, so that's what your answer would be. And so now if I do the interval here, okay, the lowest value is negative 7, the highest value is positive 7. And so that's, oh, look at me, look at me, look at me, I made a mistake. There's an equal to line under this, so these should have equal to lines. So I screwed up, left it off. So yeah, these should have brackets like that. So there's my solution set. Now, you might ask, what if it said this? What if it's greater than 49? Okay, what if it's greater than? So I would square root both sides. The square root would cancel the square. And over here, the square root of 49 is plus or minus 7. Or if it's greater than, that means, let me just draw it on a number line, it might help you. Here's negative 7, here's positive 7. Okay. There you go. I got it off the screen a little bit, sorry about that. But it's greater than, which means it's greater than this value, which makes it go this way. But when I do the negative side, negatives go backwards, so it's going to be less than over here. Okay, which means this one here, the lowest value is negative infinity, the highest value is negative 7. Okay, so I just did greater than, I didn't do the equal to, so I'm just going to put parentheses. Then on this one, the lowest value is 7, the highest value is positive infinity. So it would be that, and we're going to put this little union symbol in between them. So that's what it would be if it was greater than. Okay? All right, now, let's go to 14 here. 14, it's quadratic. Let me write it out here. 2x squared plus 3x less than or equal to 20. Okay. All right, well, this is quadratic, so I'm going to have to minus 20 because this has to be 0 over here. So I got 2x squared plus 3x minus 20 less than or equal to 0. And here's my quadratic formula now coming in. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, now a is 2, so that goes here and here. B is 3, 3 goes here and there, and then negative 20 is my c all the way at the end. All right. All right. Now we've got 1, 2, 3 things to do at one time here. All right. So that means right here we've got negative 3. Down here we got a 4. And then in my radical, let's see, 169. Let's do that in my head there. Okay. Now let's go to 169. I punch it in the calculator. Well, that's 13. Okay. Now here's my two answers. So negative 3 plus 13 is 10. 10 divided by 4. 10 over 4. That simplifies 5 over 2. Okay. Now do the other one. Negative 13 minus 3 is negative 16 divided by 4, which is negative 4. There's my two answers. Okay. So if you look at the number line, then let's just do the number line here. Here's 0. We got negative 4 there. We got 5 halves here. This is not scale. I'm just throwing them on there. Okay. All right. Then you go back up here. You look at this. This is what I got to look at. Okay. this was less than or equal to. Okay, now the easy way to think about it, if it's less than, you got two values, they're going to connect. Okay, all right. If it's less than, you're going to have two values and they'll connect. If this is a greater than, you'll have two values and they go opposite. Okay, so right here, here's my two values. Here's my two values I solved. It's a less than or equal to, which means they're going to connect. So these two values connect, and it's equal to, so they're colored in, which means the lowest value is -4, the highest value is 5/2, and they both are in brackets. And let's see if we got that right. Sure did. Look there. Got it. Okay. Let's do another one like that. All right. All right, so in this one, we got -x² minus 7x minus 8 less than or equal to -2. Okay. All right, so I'm going to have to add 2 to make this be 0. And that's going to give me a -6. Okay, and this is quadratic. But now there's one thing here that may screw us up. And so it's worth just changing this so we don't screw up. When this x² term is negative, that could cause you to make a mistake. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through here and I'm going to change every sign. Change them all to opposites and then do quadratic formula. So this -x² turns into a +x². This -7x turns into a +7x. This -6 turns into a +6. Less than or equal, just less than. And 0, opposite of 0, is still 0. But I've got this now where my x² term is positive. And I'm less likely to make a mistake if I keep it positive. And so now I can do the quadratic formula. X equals -b plus or minus the square root b² minus 4ac all over 2a. Oh, look at that parenthesis there. All right. So my a is 1. So 1 goes here and here. My b is 7. 7 goes here and here. C is 6, which is right here in this bad parenthesis. Okay, and then remember now there's 1, 2, 3 things to do here. All right, so it means x, there's my marker, -7, that's a 2. And my radical here, 49 plus 42 is, what is that? 49 and 42 is 91. Oh, it's minus, I'm sorry. 49 minus 42. 7? Yeah, well, this is not going to come out very good, is it? Let's see here. Did we make a mistake? Because I'm not getting... This is not going to work out here. Oh, that's 24. I'm doing 7 times 6 here. I did... Okay. That's going to be 25. I'm doing it in my head and I made a mistake. All right, so there you go. So now the square root of 25 is 5. So it's going to be -7 plus or minus 5 divided by 2. Okay, these should come out. Shouldn't have any radicals that don't come out. So like -7 plus 5 is -2. Divided by 2 would be -1. There's one solution. -7 minus 5 is -12. Divided by 2, which is -6. There's my other one. Okay. Oops. I did make a mistake up here. Let me come back. I got all involved in doing this right here. I did not change my inequality right here. Okay, made a mistake here. Let's go back to the, I'm sorry about this. I hate making mistakes, but when I change all these to opposites, that changes that from less than to greater than. Okay, when I change them all, it's like dividing by a negative. So that changes my inequality. Okay, so this is greater than, which means I've got these two values and they go opposite directions. So let me graph it and show you. Here's 0, here's -1, here's -6. Okay, they'll go opposite ways like this. So this is going to be, I'm sorry, I didn't have it on the screen there. So here's my two values. They're going to go opposite. So this will be -infinity is the lowest, -6 is the highest. This one here, -1 is the lowest, infinity is the highest. And we'll have a union symbol between them. And that would be my answer there. And look at me up here. From the very beginning. Now don't do this, which I did. And I'm showing you every way to make a mistake today. I didn't put my stinking inequality equal to line on it from the beginning. When I added 2, I left it off. So this should have an equality sign. So these should be brackets because those values are included. All right, so I'm showing you every which way to mess up. Okay, we're just about done here. Let me do another one. Okay, we'll do number 16 here. 16. I've got x minus 6 less than or equal to 7. Okay, now I'm going to have to multiply here, so I distribute, so it's going to be x squared minus 6x less than or equal to 7. And so I'm going to have to subtract 7. There you go. And my x squared is positive, so I'm not going to have to change that. All right, so x equals -b plus or minus a square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, my a is 1, so 1 goes here and here. B is -6, and C is -7. And then we got 1, 2, 3 things to do, okay? So, all right, so it's going to be a positive 6. And my radical, 36 plus 42 is plus 20. Look, I did it again. I did 6 times 7. It's 4 times 7, 28. So that's 64, isn't it? I think it is. I'm going to punch it in instead of doing it in my head this time. All right. So I got -6. All right, squared. Minus 4, and then I got a 1, and I got a -7. Oh, I left the parentheses off. What? I'm screwing up every which way. It's too early. There you go, 64. I was right. And that's a 2 down here. Okay, and the square root of 64 would be 8. So this is 6 plus or minus 8 divided by 2. All right, now my two answers, 6 plus 8 would be 14. 14 divided by 2 would be 7. Then I do 6 minus 8, which is -2. -2 divided by 2 would be -1. There's my two answers. Okay, and so I look back at my problem here. This is a less than, okay, which means they connect. So it goes from, here, I'll just draw it on the number line. Here's -1, here's 7. Here's my two values. They connect like this, which means my lowest value is -1, my highest value is 7, and it does have the equal to line, so we're going to put brackets. So that should be it right there, and we're good to go on that one. All right, now here's one you can practice. Okay, here's this problem here, and here's your answer. Oh, this is an empty set. Okay. Let me do that one. This is set up ready to go. You can see it's equal to 0. Now when you do the quadratic formula, x equals -b plus or minus a square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. My a is 1. 1 don't go there. 3 goes there. I'm making every which mistake I can today. I'm telling you. I'm doing a horrible job. I'm sorry. All right, so this is -3. Down here I got 2. In my radical, I've got, here, let me punch it in. 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times 13. And look there, it's -43. Okay? And this is imaginary, which means I'm going to have an I in this, which means there's no solution for this. So we're having an empty set here. Okay. All right. And then we have one here. Now this one comes out to have radicals. So I'll let you do this one. I don't know, maybe I should do it. What do you think? I'm going to have to add 7 to both sides. X squared minus 6x plus 7 less than or equal to 0. Okay? So I'm going to do quadratic formula. X equals -b plus or minus a square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. My a is 1. My b is -6. My c is 7. All right, so it's 2 negatives, which makes a positive 6. Down here, 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, and then my radical, I'm going to have, I better not screw it up this time, so I'm going to have to punch this in. -6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 7, 8. Okay, now this one, the square root of 8 is not a perfect square like the rest of them have been. So I'm going to have to break it down. So 8 is 2 times 4. Okay, circle my 2. 4 is 2 times 2. And I got a pair of 2's that sends a 2 out of the radical, and this 2 stuck. So there's what it simplifies to. So let me write this over here. 2 radical 2 divided by 2. And then, like I've told you before now, we're done unless these 3 numbers right here divide. And they do. They all divide. So they all divide by 2. So that's going to be x. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. 2 divided by 2 would be 1x, or 1, just radical 2. 2 divided by 2 would be 1 on the bottom, so I don't have to have that. So here's what x equals. Okay? Now, go back up here. This is a less than, which means they connect. So if I look at the number line of this, here's 0. Okay? Which I don't have to worry about the 0. But I've got 3 plus radical 2. Let's just make it 3 plus radical 2 is on this side, and then 3 minus radical 2 is on that side. So here's my 2 values. Okay? And they connect, so it goes from this one to that one, which means this is the low one, that's the high one, and it's equal to line, so I didn't put the brackets. So these should be brackets because it's got the equal to line. Okay, so it's less than, which means they connect. All right, so they're going to connect like this, and that's the lowest value, that's the highest value. So here's my interval, which that's what it is. So we're in good shape. All right, so this is our inequalities, college algebra inequalities, section 1.7. If you need help, contact me and I'll help you all I can. Have a great day.